Hello everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel for our next design team project for Kraftgali. Before we get into the fun, we are going to announce the giveaway winners. Last week we asked you to give us some ideas and some tips and techniques you'd like to see in upcoming videos, and we thank you for all of your suggestions. Our first winner here is Kimberly, and Kimberly states, I always have trouble with shaker cards. I'd like to see anything with alcohol inks. So any tips and tricks with those would be helpful. So you can expect some alcohol inks coming your way. Okay, congratulations, Kimberly. Our second winner is Midnight Crafter 16. Such a beautiful ornaments, maybe some mixed media. I definitely need to do more mixed media. So that will be upcoming as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your awesome suggestions. Okay, let's get started with our project for today. So we will be playing with the Concord and 9th bundled up set. I seriously had so much fun with this stamp set. How adorable. So basically it is like back in the day when you used to play dress up with your little wooden doll, if you had that. I did, and it was so fun. So what you do is you stamp out the outline of the image first. So I have this little boy and little girl, and I'm going to use some Nocturne ink from VersaFine Claire. I'm not going to be coloring them in because that's the joy of all of the inserts. So you can do all the different colors of the outfits. So you can watch me here. I am going to be using a series of Catherine Puller inks, VersaFine Claire, and even some Hero Arts ombre inks throughout the course of filling in these colors. So you want to, at first I used a block to stamp down, and you certainly can do that. It takes a little bit of practice. But with the MISTI or a Stampin' Platform, you can line up the image perfectly first with just the stamp itself, which makes it a little bit easier because you don't have to go through a clear block to see. So that made it a lot easier to do. Also, another tip, you can see me doing the girls' outfit one at a time, but if you know that you're going to be matching some things, like maybe her earmuffs with her boots, you can put those down at the same time and ink them at the same time, so it's not as time consuming. So that's just a little tip for you as you work yourself through this process. Very, very fun. Seriously, I think we made like 3 or 4 sets. Adia came in and did it. We just had a blast with this. It was so much fun. So I did use some Distress Oxides as well because they stamp pretty well, and those are the only neutral colors I had for hair and skin, and so I did pull those in. Here I'm trying to do a little bit of shading up in the hairline of the girl with a darker Distress Oxide. So now here I'm showing you with the boy how I did 3 of the pieces at once. So his boots, his scarf, and his gloves. And so you can just kind of do that at once. Now I love this. I really do. I think that coloring is so much fun, and I love to color too, and that's what's great about having the outline image also. So if you don't want to do the inserts, you can just color it yourself. So that's a blast. This video, I just did the inserts. Here I'm using an ombre ink pad from Hero Arts, and this is fun because I get a little bit of depth with the coat with that ombre color. And now I'm doing some darker skin complexion for this little boy, and then I use even darker hair color for him. So that was fun to see all of this come together. Now if you misalign it, just redo it and it comes out perfectly. Or you can fussy cut them out right to the line and then fill in where maybe you misaligned. Here's my results here. I wanted to show you the one with the freckles, which you'll see me put together with the card. The little boy with the fair skin and he has freckles. That's the one Adia did. So she did that whole set there. Came out beautifully. She lined up better than I did, I promise. So now let's make some distress background here. The last week's video when we asked for suggestions, this was one of them. So we're going to play with three of these colors, and we are going to get some really snowy, fun background like skies. These 3 colors mix beautifully together. I loved throwing in the shaded lilac to the card because I thought that that just really softened it up quite a bit. And I'm going to have to go back in and add some more of that shaded lilac. This surface that I'm working on right here to the right, of course, this is my magnetic mat if you've seen me make my video. I did resurface it with some wood grain contact paper, but then I purchased one of those tonic mats over to the side. It easily comes up and down. It's not super sticky, but it's like rubbery on the bottom. And I use that and I love it. Now, if you don't have dies to make hillsides, what you could do is just take some paper, and long scissors work the best. But you're just going to make, without stopping or without being choppy, some squiggly lines with your scissors. So you just want to go very smoothly and you can get a hillside. So what I'm going to do next is pull out some of this really chunky embossing powder. It's clear, but I would like to make my snowbanks look watery and icy. And so with this chunky embossing powder, it's not very smooth. It comes out looking just as I described. So that's what I really love about it. It does tend to go all over the place though, so what I would recommend is heating it from the back first until it kind of melts into the paper and the cardstock, and then turn it over and do the final melting of it. That helps a lot. The more layers you do, the more it will smooth out, so keep that in mind. I did 1 or 2 layers on these backgrounds here, and here I'm showing you it's kind of rigidy, and I like that. And I think this one I may have done 2 on there, but it will smooth out almost completely, I think, by the 3rd layer. So if you wanted to give that a go. Now I'm going to lay down my hill banks here. You could see I drew a little pencil line just to kind of help guide me, and I'm going to pop up the bottom bank and then just put my card together so you can kind of watch how I do that. On the other card, you'll see how I finish it just a little bit differently. But after I got the snowbanks down, I wanted to make some snowballs for them. So I did an entire background in the embossing powder like I showed you, and then I just took this Kraftgali with the larger of the 2 holes because these snowballs were proportionate to my little people, and that's going to be their little snowballs for this for this scene. So that would be super fun. I haven't been in a snowball fight in a very long time, like circa 2006 long time. I've been in the tropics, and it hasn't really snowed one time here, but I was at work. By the time I got home the next day, it was melted. Anyway, hopefully there'll be some snow in my future. Okay, so here I'm going to use some full sheet adhesive with some fun foam to help combat some of that warping that happened when we were doing the Distress Oxide watercoloring. And so when you do this, when you have full sheets of adhesive on both sides of your fun foam, it is going to flatten out your card almost perfectly. So I would highly recommend doing that when you're using a lot of watercolor on your projects. So for this one, I'm going to use some liquid glue, some Nuvo glue, and I'm going to place down my girl here on the right hand side. And then for the boy, I am actually going to pop his upper half up, and then the lower half will be down with some glue. And that way we'll keep him dimensional and he'll be even all the way throughout. So I'm going to do that. Now I did place down some pressure on his bottom half because the cardstock below is very slippery with that embossing powder all over it. So just keep that in mind. And then here I am going to place down with my little jewel picker my snowballs. When you cut holes with that Kraftgali, it tends to curl up the paper. But really, if you just flatten it between your fingers, the circle goes right back to flat. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it. And I am just going to be adding a whole bunch of snowballs right there. He's got an arsenal, and so does she. And they're ready for a snowball fight. So that was a lot of fun to do. And then I'm going to put a bunch more over by him on his side, which if you're looking at the card on the left side. And then I picked a sentiment there. You can see up at the top that I just stamped out using my Misty with the VersaFine Claire blue. I think it's sapphire, the sapphire color. And of course that's always fun to use because it just easily goes down, even on watercolor paper. So I'm going to back this onto a gray piece of cardstock just for some matting because I liked that color scheme to go with it. And that card is pretty much done. So we're going to move on to the second card where I did not use the embossing powder for the snowbanks, but I used stickles here in the end. So you'll see me do that. But I'm going to place them down a little bit differently. Both of the kids are going to be laying flat. They are not going to have an arsenal of snowballs, so I have left that out of this card. But I am going to be popping them up here on this kind of aqua or pool colored cardstock right here for their card. So I'm going to keep it flat for a second because I am going to, oh no, they do have snowballs. They just don't have backup. Then I'm going to use some stickles here which is going to give that snowbank a nice icy look. And you'll see in the still photos how that comes out because, yeah, it looks just like snow. And now I'm double squeezing with 2 hands there because I'm almost out of that stuff. I need to buy some more. You saw all my holiday cards. I was going crazy with the stickles, frosted lace type. And there's my 2 cards. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you to everyone for all of your comments and for your suggestions. And I hope you guys have had fun these last couple weeks making these holiday cards. Here's some close-ups that you can take a look at so you can kind of see what some of those effects come out looking like. Thank you so much again. We'll link everything we use below in the comment section. And if you have any questions or comments, we love hearing from you. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And we will see you all in the next one. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.